We're going to come back in a few minutes, but we're going to chat for a little.
How about a hand for the band? A hand for this. It's all boys, the boy band. You're okay with just me here? You're right?
I'm going to take my ears out.
Oh, that's why. You can't hear me. I'm just dying to know what's in the cup.
You thought what?
Is it tea?
Oh.
Is it water? Is it Bordeaux?
It's whiskey.
It's whiskey. How about it? Alanis Morissette, huh?
It's tea, I can see. I hate to break the news, but it's tea.
It is tea.
Yeah.
Briefly, before we open it up, give us some background on this tour and this trip. Elaborate a little bit.
My motivation for going on it was to go to countries where they didn't necessarily have a ton of artists going through the areas. I consider them to be just as worthy of being sung to and expressed with as anywhere else. And there were a lot of the countries that I wanted to go to, so there was an element of self-indulgence involved. After I came back from this trip, I was sitting at a restaurant, writing on the napkin in the restaurant the next places I wanted to go to. And really, it's just a matter of wanting to travel the whole earth and sing. And the best part of this tour was getting to know the ambassadors in each city, people that I met through the internet. They wrote an essay and shared their sort of perspective on their own cities and their own life, and they told me all about their lives. And that was actually the best part of the whole tour for me, was meeting these people in each of the different cities.
You actually read the essays and based on what they wrote, decided to go visit them?
Yeah.
Who has a question for Alanis out there in the audience?
Right here, Alanis.
Hi.
I want to know how it makes you feel when people view you as an angry artist. When I see you as just showing your anger as a sign of beauty, rather than it being a sign of men bashing. I want to know how you can get your message across to these men, showing that you're not just picking on men, but you're just explaining about an experience. And I think that's why I am so into you. This is my 5th time seeing you. And I just want to say thank you for helping me out with my past relationships, because you've helped me, you've inspired me, and I'm sure you've inspired many of these other women that are here today. And I want to thank you, because you've helped me out so much.
Thanks.
And your answer, your question or whatever, my question about the angry men. The angry men here who think that you're just an angry woman, I want you to correct that right now, please.
Oh my. So the anger, I love your anger, by the way. Excited. No, I just grew up in a society, in a household for that matter, in which there were certain emotions that were okay, and all these other ugly ones were not okay. So I felt like I had to just kind of fragment myself and only accept these and show these parts. And then as I got older, I realized that I didn't want to have to split certain parts of myself off, and that they were all equally amazing to me. I'm sure other people would disagree with that. But when I released it, it was never for the sake of hurting anyone. It was for the sake of no longer wanting to repress. So I've never been singularly angry, although I have anger. But I'm not just angry. Obviously, that's 1/100th.
At what point in your life did you have a relationship where you felt like you could express that?
What was the first part of your question?
At what part? At what part in your life did you feel like you could begin to express those emotions?
When I was safe and I was actually being listened to for what felt like the first time in my life, when I was in the studio with Glenn Ballard, I felt like there was no part of me that wasn't welcomed. So it was very liberating, and I was able to sing about all these things that I felt I hadn't been allowed to express, not only in my day-to-day life, but certainly not through music when I was a teenager.
And it was certainly well received.
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am. What is your name?
My name is Christelle.
So, Alanis Morissette.
Hey.
I wanted to thank you for going to Lebanon, because that's where I'm from. That's where I was born, and not many people go there. And you just made me so much more proud of the country that I'm from, and you gave it so much power. Well, and so please let us know why you picked Lebanon and Israel, and those countries that don't get many people.
I went there because there were so many preconceived notions about what had gone on in that particular place with its history and some of the unrest. And it was actually fascinating to me, and I knew that it wasn't just, the city wasn't just about that one particular time in history. It was It's such a beautiful place. And I wanted to be able to sing in these countries for the reasons that I mentioned earlier about not a lot of people going there. And I wanted to find out firsthand from people that lived there about what had happened. And it was one of the most beautiful places I've been in. It's amazing.
Thank you very much.
I've always admired you for your ability to express yourself freely. And I've always wondered, where did you find it within yourself, or what inspired you to get out there and say, well, you know, this is how I feel, and I'm not going to be ashamed of how I feel, and I'm going to put it out there, and that's that. I've always wondered where you found the strength and the courage to, you know, go inside yourself and share with everybody how you feel.
I think there's a couple of things. I think one of them was that my tolerance for pain is really, really low. So basically, if I felt any chronic amount of pain for too long, I had to start to understand it, because I knew that we weren't innately suffering beings. I've never believed that. I felt like, and still feel, that we're innately joy. So when I would have a period of times where the joy wasn't there, I would always try and figure out how to get it back. And I was only able to sing about it, you know, a few years ago. I wasn't able to sing about it when I was younger. I was afraid. But I lived for a long time showing certain parts of me, like I said, and not the others, and that wasn't very fun. So I tried another way. And the other way was very liberating, and you don't have to apologize, which is the best way to live for me. Yeah.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
Hi.
Thank God it's a shirt. I can't see. That was a rough one.
You look really nice tonight, Alanis. You're very fine. But when you made Jagged Little Pill and you were very open, were you afraid that your family was gonna, like, how did they react to your openness? Because, like, did it at all affect you? Were you afraid of their reaction of being that open?
Yeah. I was definitely afraid. I sent some of my songs to my dad and some of them to my mom, and
Were they edited at any point?
no. Oh, I mean, these songs weren't that surprising to them, because they knew me pretty well, obviously, so they recognized a lot of it, and they were excited. I know that there were certain parts of it, certain lyrics that would go by, and I'd be watching them when I was playing it, and they would just look over at me, and yeah. No, but they know. I mean, every lyric they could pick apart and say, yeah, we know that about her. So there wasn't really anything overly shocking.
Yes.
Hi, Alanis. My name is Nay. Well,
Hi.
this isn't really a question, but okay. Well, I like to send you a hug from right here. Hug. Okay. Since we are all connected, since we are all one, since we all come from the same source, the only difference between you and me is our individuality. And I would just like to say, ask you guys in here in this auditorium and everyone in the world watching us on the internet, if we could just give a hug to the person beside us. And if the world can hear us, it might start a little chain reaction where the whole world might get a hug and we all might live in peace, harmony, and love. And let's share that spirit and keep on rocking, Alanis. We love you.
Thank you.
Would you like to comment?
Thank you, sir.
Your microphone, where are we? Yes, you! Yes, of course you! We can forget you. What's your name?
My name is Amanda.
This is Alanis Morissette.
Hi, pleasure to meet you.
To meet you.
I think, like many of us, we're huge fans. Can I get an amen? And, you know, I just have to ask you, when are you coming out with your next project, as well as, are you going to be producing this one?
Yeah. Probably producing it, and most likely going to be going back in the studio within the next month.
Will we see or will we hear your lyrics in the new album? Some things that you learned, some things you experienced on this trip, on this tour, on this journey. What's this album? What's to come?
I have no idea. But no, it would be hard for me not to have certain things that I've experienced over the last few years not show up on the record. So I liken it to a sponge, and I spend 2 or 3 years kind of absorbing all this crazy water into the sponge, and then I go in the studio and I just squeeze it.
Well, let's see. I saw the mic flying through here. If you have a microphone, stand up. All right, there you are, sir. Welcome.
Thank you. Artistically and spiritually, where do you think you're going next? Do you know? Does it just fall?
Hopefully back in. And musically, always stretching, trying new things, playing with my bandmates, just scaring myself, just stepping a little bit outside of my comfort zone every time I do a new record or a video or whatever it is.
When you make music, you pay attention to what's going on in popular music and rock music, what other people are doing. Does that influence you at all?
No, there are some people that say I could benefit from doing that, but I have never really done that.
All right. Who has it now? Good. Yes.
Hi. Okay, first I have to say that Alanis, you've been the biggest influence on my life, and I've learned so much from your music. And, okay, my question is, okay, what first inspired you to, start making music?
That's the question? Yeah. When I was younger, a couple of friends of my parents were in a band, and they were singing in a club, and I was 8. And I remember peeking my head in from the emergency exit to watch them because I wasn't allowed in. And I just remember watching them thinking that was exactly what I wanted to do for the rest of my life. And so I started writing songs, and I had a record out when I was 10, and I knew that it was what I wanted to do. Yeah, eventually. Yeah.
Let's do 2 more questions before we wrap things up here. Where are we? Yes, ma'am.
Hi.
Hi.
My name's Michelle.
Hi.
Hi. And I've always heard your music on the radio, but I never really listened to it. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. No, I know exactly what you mean.
I think we do that to each other, person to person sometimes. And my good friend here, Jason, won tickets, and this is such a special experience, and thank you for opening my heart and mind more.
Thank you. Thanks.
Yes, ma'am. The last question. You have the final question with the last 4 steps.
Stop.
I think I told you this is the last one. That's all I know. Go ahead.
Hi, my name is Michelle, too. I wanted to know, what is your view on religion, and which religion can you most relate to, and why?
I actually felt really close to God the second I stepped outside of religion. But that was my own experience, and I feel like God is in all of them, in his or her or its own way. And I was born and raised Catholic, and I no longer consider myself to be Catholic. But I feel very close to God. God is in the past. Yeah. 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 Yeah.
All right, is the band ready? Is the band